I told you there was a masculine language of love, spoken in silence, in gestures he doesn't even realize he's making, would you be able to recognize it? There's a profound difference between a man who wants you and a man who is truly in love, and that difference is revealed in signs so subtle, most women miss them. I know exactly what it's like to live in that uncertainty about his feelings, to analyze every word, every gesture, trying to figure out if what you feel is reciprocated, or if you're, once again, building a love that only exists in your heart. You're not the first woman to wonder if he really loves you, or if you're just convenient, just one option among others. One of the greatest scholars of male psychology discovered something fascinating about how men express true love. They do it through a body and emotional language that even escapes their own awareness. And while you're looking for declarations and romantic words, you might be missing the most genuine signs that he's deeply connected to you. Your feminine intuition is too powerful to waste on doubts. And today, you're going to learn to read the signs that reveal when a man is truly invested, when you're not just a desire, but a deep emotional need he can't even explain. The first truth about a man's love is that it rarely shows up the way we've been taught to expect. While we women tend to express love through words, outright care, and emotional displays, a man in love reveals his feelings through a subtle shift in his presence, in his energy, in the way he moves through the world. When a man is truly in love, something changes in his breathing when you're near. It's not nervousness. It's as if his body is rearranging itself to welcome you. Notice how he breathes when you're together in silence. If you find that his breath becomes deeper, slower, almost in sync with yours, that's one of the earliest signs that you've become a place of peace for him. Psychology tells us that when a man is emotionally connected, his nervous system naturally seeks to harmonize with the woman he loves. It's an unconscious, almost primal dance that happens long before any words are spoken. He might not even realize he's doing it, but his body already knows you're important. Another powerful sign is the way he touches you. A man in love doesn't just touch with his hands. He touches with his whole being. When he puts his hand on your back, when he intertwines his fingers with yours, when he brushes a strand of hair from your face, there's a different quality to that touch. It's as if he's memorizing you through your skin. And here's something few women realize. A man in love develops a kind of radar for your well-being. He notices when you're tired before you even realize it yourself. He senses when you're sad without you having to say a word. This emotional attunement isn't something he can fake or force. It's a natural result of being truly connected to you. There's this fascinating thing that happens when a man is truly in love. He begins to create a universe where you're the center of gravity. It doesn't mean he becomes clingy or possessive, but that, almost without realizing it, he organizes his life in a way that you have space, importance, real priority. Notice how he talks about the future. A guy who's only interested in the present will use vague terms, avoid making concrete plans, always keeping an emotional escape route open. But the man who's in love naturally includes you in his projects, dreams, and concerns. He says, "when we go," instead of "if I go." He thinks of you when he makes important decisions, not because you asked him to, but because you've become an integral part of his life. The difference lies in the spontaneity of these gestures. He's not trying to impress or win you over. He's simply being guided by an internal impulse to include you, to consider you, to make you feel like you're part of something bigger. It's the difference between putting on a show and being truly authentic. An even deeper sign is how he reacts to your personal growth. A man who just wants you might feel threatened when you evolve, when you become more independent or confident. But a man in love celebrates every step of your journey. He doesn't just accept your transformations, he's proud of them, as if your blossoming is also a victory for him. This happens because true masculine love has a protective quality that goes beyond possessiveness. He wants you to be the best version of yourself, not the version that's most convenient for him. When he encourages your dreams, when he gives you space to be who you really are, when he doesn't try to mold or limit you, these are signs that you've awakened something much deeper in him than just attraction or casual interest. Male vulnerability, it's perhaps the clearest sign of true love, and yet it's also the hardest to recognize because it manifests itself in such subtle ways. A man in love won't necessarily break down in tears or make dramatic declarations. His vulnerability appears in the small ways he relinquishes control, in the almost imperceptible ways he lets his guard down. Pay attention to how he acts when he's sick, tired, or worried. A man who only wants you will keep up a front, always trying to appear strong and in control. But a man in love allows you to see him in his most human moments. He accepts your care without resistance. He shares his worries without feeling weak. There's something profoundly touching in the way a man in love asks for help. He does it almost sheepishly, like a little boy finally admitting he needs protection. It could be something as simple as asking your opinion on something important, or something more intimate, like admitting he's insecure about a situation. These moments reveal that you've become his emotional safe harbor. The study of men's minds shows us that most have been conditioned to view emotional need as weakness. When a man overcomes that conditioning and allows you to see him needing, doubting, seeking support, it indicates a level of trust and love that goes far beyond the surface. Another aspect of this vulnerability is how he deals with his own mistakes when he's around you. A man in love doesn't try to be perfect. He tries to be real. He apologizes when he messes up, acknowledges his limitations, admits when he doesn't know something. This genuine humility is a gift he only offers to those who truly matter. In everyday life, a man's love often shows through a steady attentiveness, one that stretches far beyond just romantic moments. It's in how he remembers those little details you mentioned weeks ago, how he notices when you've changed your perfume, when you've had a barely there haircut, when you're wearing something new. This kind of attention isn't for show. It's just the natural result of someone truly fascinated by you. A man who's in love develops a sort of mental library about you. He knows how you like your coffee, what your mood is when you're hungry, what kind of movie you prefer when you're feeling down. He doesn't know these things because he memorized a list. He knows them because he pays real attention, because the details of your happiness have become important to him. Also notice how he acts when you're in a group. A man who's just interested might ignore you so he doesn't seem too clingy, or maybe even flirt with others to keep his options open. But a man who's in love has a subtle way of always including you, of making you feel special, even in a crowd. He doesn't need to be obvious or over the top. A look, a smile, a way of positioning himself physically close to you that clearly communicates that you're a team. Protection is another unmistakable sign, but a mature kind of protection, not possessive. He's attentive to your well-being without being controlling. If you're going through a tough time, he finds ways to be there for you without invading your space. If someone treats you poorly, he stands by your side without creating unnecessary drama. And here's something many women don't realize. Listen to how he talks about you when you're not around. If you're important to him, he'll naturally mention you in conversations. He'll look for ways to include your opinion, your tastes, your perspectives in his decisions. You become a constant, internal reference point. But there's a shadow to this understanding that we need to face. Not all signs that seem like love are genuine, and it's crucial to know how to tell the difference between real love and sophisticated manipulation. Some men have learned to mimic the behaviors of love to get what they want, and that can confuse even the most intuitive women. The key difference lies in consistency over time. True love remains, even when there's nothing to gain, even during moments of conflict, even when you're less available. Manipulation, on the other hand, fluctuates depending on the circumstances. He's attentive when he wants something, distant when he's already gotten it. Be careful of the man who demonstrates all of these signs too intensely, too quickly. True love develops and deepens with time. If someone is making you feel like the most special woman in the world in the first few weeks, it could be love bombing, a manipulative strategy to quickly create emotional dependence. Another red flag is when this special attention comes with attempts to isolate you, or subtle criticisms of your other relationships. A truly loving man wants to integrate into your life, not replace it. He values your friendships, respects your family, encourages your independent activities. Obsession can also disguise itself as love. If his attention to detail becomes surveillance, if his caring becomes control, if his protection becomes possessiveness, then we're not talking about mature love. True love makes you feel free and safe at the same time, not watched and controlled. And perhaps most importantly, observe how he reacts when you set boundaries, or when you're not emotionally available. A man who loves in a healthy way will respect your nose, understand your need for space, and won't resort to emotional blackmail when you need time for yourself. The path to recognizing true love lies in reconnecting with your own intuitive wisdom. Your body knows the difference between being loved and being desired, between being valued and being convenient. The real question is, are you willing to trust that wisdom, even when your mind tries to plant seeds of doubt? When you're with a man who's truly in love, there's a distinct energetic quality to your time together. You feel seen, not just physically, but at your very core. There's a sense of coming home, of mutual recognition, as if two halves of a whole are finally meeting. That's something that can't be faked or forced. It's a resonance that happens at a soul level. Practice paying attention to how you feel after you've been with him. True love leaves you feeling energized, not drained. You feel more like yourself, not less. You feel inspired to grow, not diminished to fit into a mold. If you consistently feel anxious, confused, or depleted after spending time together, it might be a sign that something isn't quite right. The key is to stop searching for signs and start feeling the quality of his presence. A man in love brings an energy of stability, of emotional reliability, of genuine interest in who you are beyond the surface. You can feel it in the way he looks at you, the way he listens when you speak, the way he behaves even in the most ordinary moments. And here's a liberating truth. You don't need to decode his feelings. If you constantly have to analyze, question, and search for proof that he loves you, that's probably your answer right there. True love is clear, not ambiguous. It might be quiet, but it's never confusing. Real transformation happens when you stop searching for love in others and start recognizing the love that already exists within you. When you're connected to your own feminine essence, to your own capacity to love and be loved, you naturally attract men capable of genuine love and gently push away those who only know how to pretend. A woman who knows her own worth doesn't settle for scraps of affection disguised as grand gestures of love. She doesn't need to read between the lines because she asks for clarity. She doesn't settle for occasional gestures because she deserves consistent devotion. She isn't lost trying to understand someone else's feelings because she's too busy honoring her own. When you become a whole woman, you stop attracting men who need to prove something, and you start attracting men who simply want to share their lives with someone special. The difference is revolutionary. Instead of relationship projects, you attract true partnerships. Mature masculine love seeks mature feminine love. It doesn't want a woman who needs to be constantly won over, nor one who diminishes herself to make him feel important. He wants an equal, a companion, someone who is whole enough to choose him freely, not out of neediness. And when that connection happens, all those signs we talked about become natural, spontaneous, obvious. You no longer need to look for proof of love because you live in a constant state of mutual affection, respect, and true partnership. Now a practice for you to integrate this wisdom. Find a quiet moment today and place your hands on your heart. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, how do I feel when I'm with him? Don't think about the answer, feel it. Your body holds the truth that your mind sometimes complicates. If the feeling is one of peace, of expansion, of finally arriving home, trust that. If it's one of anxiety, of feeling constricted, of constantly having to prove yourself, trust that too. Your feminine intuition is an ancient gift that never fails you when you stop questioning and start listening. Also, practice observing without judgment. In your next few encounters, instead of analyzing every gesture looking for hidden meanings, simply allow yourself to be present. True love reveals itself in presence, not in analysis. The truth about a man's love is that when it's genuine, you just know. Not because he shouts it from the rooftops, but because it whispers consistently. Not because he puts on a show, but because he simply is. The signs are all there, in the synchronized breathing, in the present touch, in the way he makes space for you in his life. You don't need to become a detective of other people's feelings. You need to become a woman so deeply connected to herself that she only accepts what resonates with her soul. When you do that, you'll discover that true love isn't something you need to decode. It's something you simply recognize, like an ancient language you've always known how to speak. And in that recognition, you find not only a love that sees you, but the freedom to be seen in all your magnificence.